What is going on YouTube? My name is Scott. I'm an SEO professional, sales representative, and a couple of weeks ago, I did a call with a company that did not move forward with us. They are a dentist office in the New York City area, and so I wanted to take that footage from that call, and I wanted to put it into a YouTube video to show dentists how to do SEO in 2025. So I hope you enjoy. It goes into a little bit of information about how we analyze a website, how we look at opportunity, how to consider your competition. One thing I'm not sure it talks much about is the importance of local SEO for dentist office. Keep in mind that whenever you convert a client, that's going to have more like lifetime client value than maybe just a tooth cleaning. It's going to go, further down the road for orthodontry or the opportunity to refer some of that, that business to orthodontists. It's going to have opportunities for fillings, opportunities for root canals. So when you build a relationship with somebody, you have an opportunity to continue that lifetime client value. So it's super important for dentist office to crush their local SEO. Take a look at the video. Let me know what your thoughts are and leave a comment if there's anything else that you think I should include in this conversation or any other questions that you might have. Thanks so much, and I hope you enjoy. Homepage, and this is obviously we're talking SEO right now. We'll talk PPC as well as website design as well. But if we boil it down to the simplest form, phone rings more often, more book meetings. If we back that off and get a little specific, then we're talking, okay, so do we care more about having people consider us to be their general dentist? Do we care more about cosmetic dentistry, restorative dentistry? Any of these services that we want to say, hey, we have numbers that we want to hit for each of these services. And I'll explain why we look at it from that perspective. People are going to they're going to start their search process one of multiple different ways, right? If somebody has toothache, what they might search for is dentist near me, or they might search for emergency dentist, or they might search for my tooth hurts, or they might search for cavity, something along those lines. So when we think about like general dentistry, are they going to search for things like tooth pain? Or are they going to search for things like teeth cleaning or prophylaxis or something along those lines, right? So when we back off of that major North Star goal and look at it specifically, now we start to answer the question, okay, what do we want to be found for and what do we create content for? What are we currently being found for that we want to be found higher up for? And then what do we want to, maybe expand on some of the supporting content to drive more visibility around? So I always like to start looking at performance. This is a tool that we use called Ahrefs. Are you guys familiar with this or SEMrush or anything?
No. Is
Okay.
this something that's not quite Google Analytics, but similar?
Sort of, yeah. So what this does is it databases all of the performance in Google, and it displays it kind of as an aggregate of what's taking place, right? So this is, you can see right here, we're looking at, and I'm actually going to drop the www. Sometimes there's a little bit more insight if you take that away. Basically, this is telling me right now a couple of things. The first thing is when we talk SEO, we're talking about three major components: relevance, authority, and then user experience. So the first two are what get people to your website. What am I relevant for? The keywords I rank for. And then where do I show up for that search? Am I on page 2, page 5, or am I at the very, very top of page 1? So I have to build pages that signal to Google what I want to be found for, the keywords I want to be found for. Then those pages have to have more trust than all the other pages. That's when Google will put you at the very, very top of a search engine result page. So relevance and authority. What am I talking about? And then how much trust does my site have? So looking at this, I can tell that the site itself has a relatively low domain rating. That's what DR stands for, domain rating. But you guys are generating 4,000 visits a month, which tells me that the content is probably very, very good or very specific. If we go and we look at the top landing pages for the website, right off the bat, all the way over here, you can see that some of these pages, you guys are sitting at spot number 1 for what are called non-branded search terms. A couple of them are branded, like that's obviously your brand name, right? That's exactly who you guys are. You should be at spot number 1 for your brand name. But this term right here, does Medicaid cover dentures? That's a great keyword to rank for. You guys are sitting at spot number 4, but it's still very, very high up on page 1 for a keyword that's not branded. You rank for 264 different keywords with that page, and you generate about 584 visits to this landing page right here from that search term. So as we think about the new site, as we think about migrating everything over to the new site, we are going to take a very close look at this right here to figure out what is your current site doing that we need to maintain as we navigate that transfer over, right? So we'll look at content. We'll say these pages absolutely need to be like salvaged and like secured as we make that transition over. We might look at other pages to say, hey, these pages don't have any traffic. Let's go to the very, very bottom here, and let's go to kind of the last pages across your site. So if we look at this right here, like babylondentalcare.com /teeth whitening program in West Babylon, New York, creating dazzling smiles. Very, very specific search term. The key, excuse me, very, very
Your,
specific title tag. The
yeah.
keyword is dazzling smiles. So what we would look at for that page, we would say, okay, so dazzling smiles, is that a keyword that we definitely want to own? And if the answer to that question is yes, okay, well then let's try to salvage this page or even improve this page. If it's like it doesn't necessarily matter to us that much, what is the user intent behind the keyword? Is that another competitor's name? So we might look at this page, it doesn't get any search volume, and it doesn't have, unless I'm mistaken, it's not going to have any backlinks pointing at it. So it's got very little relevance and it's got almost no authority. So we might look at a page like that and say, hey, you're good to kill this page because it's not really doing or achieving very, very much. So that would be another step of that migration process, which would be the pages that are doing great stuff for us versus the pages that we don't necessarily care that much about. But as we
Right.
look at this whole kind of roster, we would try to figure out, okay, just from a sheer performance perspective, how do we navigate getting all of this equity over to the new website? That's exactly what we would work on kind of in that transition process. That's how we would look at it from an SEO perspective. We would measure what's currently performing and then try to basically transplant that onto the new website. From a design performance, excuse me, from a design standpoint, that's where we really would work closely with you to make sure we understand your brand, the tone that you want your brand to express, the functionality, the engagement. You did mention load speed. So technical SEO is a major component of search engine optimization today. So core web vitals is a crucial piece of that. How fast does my site load? How well is it connected, right? So I always tell people to think about to think about your website almost as like a bundle of balloons. Like I know this is a little bit of a goofy analogy, but if you have a balloon on your website that doesn't have a string connected to anything, then it's going to float away. It's going to exist kind of in limbo, but completely by itself. So as we think about core web vitals, we think about technical SEO, what we want to signal to Google is how would a user navigate our website? What would their journey look like? And how can those pages influence each other to showcase here's what our topical footprint is. Here's what we want Google to believe that we are a source of knowledge and information on. And the way you do that is by connecting relevant pages to each other so that when the Google bots crawl your website, they navigate from page to page and understand, oh, okay, this is your subject matter expertise. These are the things that you guys are experts on. Now I know that I can deliver your website to the users that are searching these terms because I trust it more, right? It's called knowledge-based trust. The more information you have and the better connected it is on your website, that will also signal authority and trust to Google. And that may honestly be one of the reasons why you guys are ranking so well. You may have kind of like hit a home run when it comes to that kind of that topical relevance, even though your domain rating might be a little bit lower. So as we navigate to that new website, you had mentioned like, hey, the size of those pages and how long they are. Sometimes there's value in having a little bit more so that you can link to the most appropriate pages across your website with, like a glossary or, some written copy. But a lot of that needs to have like reason behind it, right? Your homepage being way, 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 way too long, you don't like that. It might also do a couple of different things. It might do some damage to other pages on your website if it cannibalizes other pages that are more specific to something. Because the homepage is going to have the most authority typically across your website. Most people that link to you are going to link to your homepage. So if your homepage is trying to talk about too many things, it might actually hurt some of the other landing pages that are more specific to those topics. So we would definitely want to look at that and be like, well, let's not damage the other performing, pages across our website with too much content on the homepage. But we would work closely with you to make sure that the transfer of equity and really the strategy matches that design, that feel, that load speed time, the core web vitals, the technical SEO, and then finally the conversion tendency. How well does this page convert a user that comes to it? We want to make sure that that is firing at the highest possible efficiency. So we would factor that into the design of the web pages as well.